All right, hello. This is Kane Parsons. I directed whatever this is that we're about to watch.
I'm Ed Douglas, visual effects supervisor on Backrooms.
I'm Edo Van Breemen, co-composer on the Backrooms.
I'm Eugenio Battaglia. I'm the sound designer on the Backrooms.
Okay, well, I should clarify. I directed the Backrooms as well. That's what this is. That's what we're watching.
And you co-composed.
I co-composed.
Yeah.
I think it's been a. I love this. Just the soundscape here. It's great. Without speaking too much, obviously we're a little past it now, but it was fun getting to do a redesign of the company logos, those titles. I think we won't speak too much to the sound here because we're about to get cut off. Yeah, this is very much a return to form for people who know the YouTube series. So, for all the money and for all the time and labor and whatnot, it's the exact same piece of media, pretty much, that goes up on the big screen as what's on YouTube. So, it's it's been fun having it be so connected.
When you started this, did you imagine there'd be so much of kind of your original media and elements in this?
I hoped it would be, but I think I had it in my head that it would be pretty forcibly stripped out, because how on earth could a simple element like that end up in what is, I guess, perceived to be a film of a much greater level of I don't even know what word I'm looking for. Not meticulousness, but I think I just expected we would find more contrived ways to leave the past behind, but instead I'm very grateful because it's what I wanted. We were able to sort of marry the two in a consistent way.
Well, speaking of the past and the future, this is an interesting scene for that because we open on found footage. All the found footage in the film was actually processed through VHS on real VHS tapes. We didn't contrive any filters or anything like that. We tried. We looked at some, but real VHS gave us the authentic look that fit how you made your original videos too.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same pipeline, and there's things you can nitpick, obviously, and I don't claim to say it's 100% infallible, but it is authentic. I mean, it's all real hardware, so maybe there's some inaccuracies with the scale of the camera body of the time and whatnot, but I feel pretty happy with what we got. It's very in line with YouTube, at least.
So part of the process on the VFX of this film was trying to figure out how to integrate the Blender pipeline from the YouTube series into a live-action cinematic film. So a sequence like this, we actually put the camera in Kane's hand, so you were running around a motion capture stage, filming this based on your previs and the animation lineups that you did. I mean, for a VFX soup, that's not usual that a director will do his own animation lineup, but
it was fun. I appreciate you putting the tools in my hand to do that. It was very much like I usually am in the habit of, with everything I do in YouTube and elsewhere in the film, when we do these VFX-driven handycam sequences, it's pretty much always like keyframe-driven, everything's keyframe-driven, but it's like we are sort of hand animating inside of the animation toolkit rather than actually going out and doing mocap, so being able to actually play out the scene, I think it offers a lot, and I think it's something I want to lean into more going forward. One thing we did find, though, is when he starts running in a moment, it's the speed you have to travel at to get the feeling of speed on the screen. We've kind of, I think, when you're just hand animating, characters go a lot faster than would actually be practical or realistic, and we had to sort of account for that, and so it was a whole thing. I had a limp that day, so we had to hand the camera off to Calvin over at Roxel every time we would need Marin to run.
I think we went into this thinking it would be we get Kane's movements and that goes straight into the movie and it's done, but there was a bit of polish and tweaking and stitching different pieces. Obviously, we didn't have a mocap stage as big as this environment. But the other thing that makes this kind of scene really, really come together is the sound design. So, curious, Kane and Euge, where do you guys even start with sound designing something that is just point of view?
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, yeah. I guess the biggest challenge here is that it's just all sound. Like I need to come up with enough tension without music to make it work, and also it's something that Kane has perfected over the years. So it was definitely one of the things that I immediately kind of tried to learn as much as I could from him. Obviously, like rewatched all of his YouTube videos and tried to get as close as I could, but there was still so much more that he could teach me. Yeah, I don't know. I guess the biggest challenge is to just not make it sound like there's just a camera floating, right, Kane?
Yeah, I mean, like I think a good degree of the tension that like I add in my stuff without music and we do here is largely like derived from like the audio ducking of this kind of shoddy piece of hardware that is like picking up a ton of, you know, room tone and white noise, and you're able to sort of like modulate the hiss and again, you bring up the room tone at moments where you want to build tension, and you're able to sort of use the ambience and the stuff that's hitting the sensor in the camera itself in such a way that it feels like a rise and fall of noise. This bit's fun. I love this bit.
Totally. I feel kind of like the instability of the audio, which by the way is all mono. That kind of gives you like an unease, because it just kind of jumps from quiet to loud, and I feel like that adds a lot of tension.
Music. Real quick, this is one we can talk about our process in a minute, but this track as sort of an opening one, I did find, I think people who know my music and know the series soundtrack so far, because there's a lot of it, there's a lot to draw from, can probably identify that there's a bit of a different flavor, where I think I did desire to try to touch on a little bit of like the, I don't know if it was just like a fun way of trying to honor, but sonically I think it ended up feeling like a kind of cross section between what I've done historically, and then bringing in elements of like maybe not more mainstream, but like I think like there's some tones that fall into like those liminal space compilations and stuff that is a little more known, like some stuff on the Instupendo front and whatnot that I tried to harness a little bit throughout, just in little ways, because it's obviously so embedded. I felt like it'd be a neat opportunity to sort of let the two worlds cross over.
We all have our loops.
Was there a specific inspiration for that title cue? Because you made
For that one?
Yeah, like was there? It really feels like it's a mixture of a kind of composition and sound logo in a way.
Solutions over and over.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's a. I can't pinpoint it to one reference. I think again, it's a big, wide, without being bound by genre, sort of crowd of things that are shoved into those liminal space, like strangely familiar images with eerie, nostalgic, or whatever the label is, music. That stuff that was all over YouTube. Stuff that people are widely associating with the Backrooms regardless, or outside of my body of work. So just trying to pay homage to that a little bit in a way that factors that in and includes it in the conversation. This track's kind of in the same vein. This one definitely goes more into, I would say, my traditional language of music, but I would be lying if I didn't acknowledge that meow kind of sound is obviously well, that's I think that's Serum with with Valhalla delay on it or something.
Alone.
But it's got a very like Instupendo 647 sort of ping sound to it, so I have to acknowledge that at least.
I mean, I'm not lonely.
Serum is a synth for anybody that doesn't know.
That's true.
I didn't know.
I said alone.
Yeah, so it's not much in the way of music here.
Was this one of Chiwetel's first days of filming?
It was. Was it his first?
I don't know.
I think it was his first.
Maybe it's not such a bad thing.
I should know that.
Being alone.
It's jumbled in my brain. I think this was the first thing we filmed.
You've had dreams and a lot of.
Sorry, now I'm in my head trying to figure out if that was. Yeah, yes, because we had done some stuff a little bit before, but yeah, this was like the first week or so. So
Again and again.
we
We start to expect it. It's like, oh, I know this path. I know.
Yeah, we spent a couple weeks bouncing around practical locations, and then the
Are
last
you interested?
half of the shoot was set builds in the back rooms.
Yeah. Most of the early stuff. I think this is in Mary's house location that we found. Everything's up here in Vancouver. That we're dressing for Northern California, specifically San Jose, where the film takes place. You can see a bit of that. Like, that doesn't really come through here, but because why would it? It's an interior. But exterior of Captain Clark's where we can. We add the mountain range and just peripheral details like getting some palm trees in there and whatnot, trying to liven up the space. In terms of era and set dressing and whatnot, I feel like I can't speak to. I haven't audited every single micro item across the whole film. In a perfect world, I would, but there are only so many minutes in a day. And there's only so many days in a year. But I would say that generally, things are pretty. Maybe it's worth just saying that, it's consistent with 1990. I think there's some places where we probably miss some satellite antennas and stuff on houses and wide shots and.
We did paint out quite a few, a handful of modern trappings. We did paint out.
We got a lot of things. I don't mean to say we didn't. I think that we got pretty close. We accomplished the feeling. I feel very confident we accomplished the feeling.
I think we absolutely.
And then I think anyone who is looking harder than that has a very special relationship with cinema.
I think that there's been some folks who've watched this at screenings who've said things like, that couch, it reminds me of when I was a kid, or it reminds me of my grandma's house, and that's the kind of feeling that makes me just so impressed with a set deck team, production design.
Without a doubt.
I miss carpeted floors, honestly.
This is the movie for you.
I know. I have a movie you might be interested in. Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about the sprinklers?
Yeah, it's my favorite sound in the movie. I think it was one of the first things I showed you. I think I was kind of unsure if you would be into the world building I was doing here, but I think it did resonate with you because I think in San Jose it's always kind of hot and there's always kind of sprinklers going.
Yeah, I mean, we had a conversation and we were trying to figure out for a little while, what's the most efficient way to build a form of tension in this scene. Or a lack of, I think there were explorations into would there be some version of a ambient score or something, and I've always been of the mind that no, there should not be. I think it definitely undermines the dynamic and the exploration of Clark's character we're seeing here. To somehow accent it with something a little as meaningful as a score, I feel like would be to give it a very uncanny amount of weight that just would feel disingenuous. So I'm glad with where we landed. But I think the sprinklers were a way to sort of have something rising and falling a little bit.
Yeah, it was also kind of like you have a layer of sprinklers throughout the shot, and then as he starts to get more intense, we start removing them and kind of dampening the sound with kind of like an undertone tension, which is one of my favorite things to do.
I remember this day. I came to visit set. There wasn't any visual effects planned, but I hadn't seen Chiwetel yet, but I was at Video Village, and I could feel the power of that performance and this build in the scene through the walls, like 2 rooms away. It was incredible.
No, even when we were going through just rehearsal, it was like, yeah, he goes for it. He goes for it. He went for this too.
Really did.
This was something.
I think he's having fun.
No, I think he's having. I should call him. No, he's had a fun time with all this. I think one of the things that we had to sort out here was what the hell? Let's talk about the peg leg. Let's acknowledge the peg leg.
Let's talk about the peg leg.
I think it's worth doing. So we had the trouble of trying to figure out exactly how we were going to get him to traverse the store on a peg leg, because we needed him to have a peg leg. That's kind of an integral mechanic of the art direction of the film. We were locked into it by the time we were going to set. We were going to picture, and we did not have the method that we had was not super stable or viable, so we had to, it wasn't the safest, and we wanted to make sure that we had something that was sustainable and comfortable in a practical way that won't end up screwing up someone's leg on like the first day. So we took the approach of leaning on this crutch and letting that be sort of like a, like the first level of sort of miscellaneous pirate contrivances, which I think works because obviously Clark's whole shtick here is very clunky and sort of kind of cobbled together, so it works. But then the peg leg is a CGI addition, which functions the way that we were imagining it would. It's exactly how it would have looked like if it was actually physically there. But just the mass of it physically, it just became a safer and more responsible choice to do it in post.
Yeah. So that's in the VHS POV, full CG peg leg done by the incredible folks at Mr. Wolf. And then when we're back in cinema camera, it's a real prop again.
Yeah.
Also a great pirate track, by the way.
Yeah, it's our friend Aiden who just pulled off a little fiddle jig one afternoon.
Sorry about that.
Same with this track here, banger.
Matery's fine.
Yeah, I was very happy this track made it into the film.
Canadian banger.
What about the outages? That happens after hours.
Don't know.
Yeah, there's all sorts of... I love this office.
This
I love
guy's
office.
amazing.
This is the weirdest office.
Yeah, Captain Clark's is now a tennis place currently, an indoor tennis building. They sort of gutted the building now, and it's been used for a handful of things over the years, but now I think that office is like walled off and hidden. That was like my favorite. There's a lot of corners in this film where like narrow sort of triangular spaces, and that's one of my favorites.
So what is this basement now? Still tennis?
Well, this basement is this was a set build.
Oh,
so when you go down the
whoa.
stairs, it's on set.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the upstairs of Captain Clark did not have a basement. We had like a little pony wall thing that we just built, and we would literally, like, when characters went downstairs, we would have the mime going down, and they were actually all very good at it. They were shockingly, who'd have thought?
I'd
actors are good
forgotten
mimes.
about that. That was hilarious.
It was really good.
was
They
really
nailed
funny.
it. But yeah, we connected with this set, which is on the same stage as like the, when he goes through the wall, everything that's on the other side of that wall is physically in real life, right? You can see the wall on screen left there. Like that's, if you were to go through that wall, there's a plug there hiding it, and we've like covered the seams. But on the other side of that is the furniture pile, that room leading to the stop sign area, and we can sort of talk about it when we actually get to that part of the film. But that's all, in pretty strict continuity. This is probably my favorite set build in the film, though. I just, for no particular reason, I mean, there are particular reasons, but I really like the basement.
That's one of my favorite lines in the film too. We killed a rat. Hilarious.
I wish we did something with the rat. I kind of want to...
There was a time where I had a little bit of a squeak later on when she turns around and it's like a creak. A bit of a rat there, but it didn't
I do wish
quite
I
play.
wish there was like a still life rat or something.
Feel like you're living behind glass, watching life happen.
I love this shot.
So that voice is Stephen Grobe, the assistant editor of the film. You may have recognized his voice from other recent films that some of the folks on this team have worked on. He was in Longlegs and the Monkey as a voice.
Yeah, he was like the interrogator in Longlegs, I believe.
Interrogator in Longlegs and the educational video in the Monkey. So, Kane, you're going to have to keep finding voices for him in all your films.
Yeah, it's in the contract. Chris Ferguson Company. Yeah, I love that commercial. That song I've been sitting on for a while. It's like I found it in just a random video of like I think a chimpanzee from 2018, and I just saved it in a watch later folder for years, and I finally figured out what the song was a couple years ago, and I just wanted to include it in something. It's, it's stock music, but still love it. This is a great film, by the way. This is obviously the most, profound, integral part of the whole movie. I mean, we'll go watch Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. Amazing. And then the interior, I guess, like, my favorite set is still the interior of Captain Clark's. The set build would be the basement, but then my overall favorite would just be the upstairs. the reveal that he's sleeping there is fun. I find that I think maybe I expect it to be a little more apparent in the close-up shot, just because you can see behind him. But I do find when watching it with an audience that people kind of react more at the right time when we cut to the wide and show the lamps in the background. So it seems to be built out at the right pace. I wish Jeremy, or I wish someone who was there. I don't think. Do you recall what our configuration for harnessing these fluorescents was?
No,
I can't recall. We had like a switch, but we had like a pretty meticulous level of control over. These are all real fluorescent fixtures, and so we were sort of automating them from the back of the building.
It was all hooked up to a big DMX board, so they could. So Yanni Yu, the gaffer, the chief lighting technician, could trigger any lamp. Could also do chase patterns, which we use heavily, flicker patterns, different stages of them heavily in the end of the film.
To yourself.
This is one of my favorite cues in the.
Yeah,
in the film.
as it's mine. This is all Edo.
I mean,
This
this
one's pretty
is really a product of being like burning the midnight oil, as we did many times making the score for this film. But I love this BMW, and it was kind of just started plucking away at a guitar through a H90 Eventide pedal and getting these pulses, and then
It's very cool. I love the little. We'll get in a moment, like the little higher sort of.
Yeah.
What was that?
I think this cue is all Hydra synth, and just like a Telecaster through this H90 pedal.
Okay.
A lot of the effects are that pedal, and then maybe like I think we used Mishby, that kind of, what's that company, Yuji?
Shout out to Freak Show Industries.
Freak Show Industries for a
making
lot
the
of
coolest plugins.
Are you ready to step through? So that you can reclaim that which was once you.
In Captain Clark's, we also painted that whole ceiling white. There's a
Oh yeah.
For the briefest moment, some producer turned to me and said, "Wouldn't we save money if we painted it white in VFX?" And I said, "Please, no, let's not do that." So, that's why as a VFX soup, I like being
It was
in,
dark blue.
Yeah, I
originally.
like being in early, so we can have those conversations and we can see what makes sense to do practically, what can be VFX, and it just opens up the whole space and gives such a great composition with that light ceiling.
Undoubtedly. You can hear a little track in the background here that I'm sure plenty of people will have some awareness of. But real quick,
what's she grabbing there?
it's private. It's private. Don't be an intruder.
Can we talk about the synth behind her? That's what is that?
I like to think she does the music for her own little audio tapes. I like to think that she has like a guided meditation little sound station.
Great.
This actor's a Vancouver legend. It was so fun to see him in this as
This
Big
is
Wayne.
fun. We cut out a little bit. We have like this lasso gag where we like whip pan over to the left. For some reason, that was like maybe one of the only things when shooting that we were like frustratingly losing light on. And it was like the most simple gag, and we just for some reason could not get the timing right. Do you remember that?
Yeah, and he had the longest lens I've ever seen. Like that lens was 3 times as long as the camera. Doing the big zoom out.
We were doing like these absurd crash zooms, and
Yeah.
the goal was to go as absurdly far as possible, and it was fun.
Yeah, because we had a really big night ahead, so we wanted to knock that out real quick.
Stupid fucking piece of shit. Yeah, I love the weightiness of the
panel.
Yeah.
Very satisfying sounds. Clunk, 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 clunk.
Yeah.
It is.
So we want to talk about connecting what we're about to see, these two sets, and how you kind of designed them and worked with Danny Vermette, the production designer, to get them all to fit on stages.
Yeah, I mean, like we initially, all the backroom sets, and to an extent the basement as well, I modeled in Blender originally. Some of the stuff, actually a lot of it was derived from concept art before we even got greenlit or anything, and then I polished that concept art into a layout that would, work for the film. And when that was done, when the first pass was done, I would send those over to Danny in the art department, and it'd be like we're right there, like we're in the same building, so we're just going back and forth. It's not like a talk about it in 2 days kind of thing. It's like kind of we can just sit down and go over it together immediately and immediately have feedback. And there'd be often be like we getting too close to a fire lane, or as logistical needs to sort of inch a wall a little bit to the left, and figuring out like what could be a set extension where we would want to put a blue screen if need be. So there's little factors here and there that would make it change a little bit over time, but it's pretty one-to-one. And what we have here is he's currently standing right in front of, when we shot this, there was just an open hole in the wall. Basically, we carved out a doorway, and we would have plugs that we would put in place whenever an actor, like, if we want to talk about we'll talk about that in 1 sec. He does this for a moment, but in any shots where the actor's not physically interacting with the wall, we would have the plug in, and we would just, pretty close to the final product, other than some scene paint outs, so we're able to get correct shadows and everything. And in the scenarios where, Ed, honestly, you might want to, I don't want to steal your conversation here, but you would throw a blue screen on the other side, and you would paint it back in. Help with the intersections.
Yeah, so I mean, there was a moment in prep where we're wondering if these two rooms could be side by side just on stage layout, and I'm really, really glad we did, because all these scenes, the actors are just walking through back and forth, all the same blocking, the same timing in that physical space. And whenever, like in this shot here, where he's going to put his hand through, he's putting his hand through a hole in the wall that we then filled in with VFX, reprojected the shadows, intricately kind of found the intersections with the wall, and that's just him walking from one side of the stage, one side of the set to the next.
Yeah, we had cameras on either side for like profile reference, right?
Yeah, witness cameras that help the VFX artist see exactly where that intersection would be. But it was a tricky thing, because like in maybe a more fantasy movie, you might have a lot of sparkle and distortion and waves and all sorts of fancy effects on a transition, but this is it's like literally two objects crashing through each other like they're CG objects. There's no distortion, there's nowhere to hide.
That has kind of been a underlying element, I would say, with the VFX on this film, is that the stuff that is not CG at all, there's a lot of things that feel wrong, but have to like fight against. Yes, it is technically correct, but it's so deeply physically unconventional, or evoking things that you usually see as a VFX glitch, that you kind of are working against, I think, like people's expectation that a thing like that is an error. Or like I think there's people, when the trailer came out for like this room, like it was like maybe one of the only shots that had literally no any VFX to it, and people were like, this is entirely CG, what are they doing? And it's just that's been an interesting component.
Yeah, there's scenes where we're looking at VFX reviews, and the plate, what we filmed, feels CG.
I love
and
this
then
shot.
when
Sorry, I'm interrupting, but this is one of my favorite shots in the whole film.
So
right
great.
here.
It's POV.
Okay, good. I totally interrupted. I just had to say that.
So when we were trying to figure, okay, is this shot working? Is it ready? Is it good enough? Do we have to tweak it more? Our reference points for the real production photography would also look strangely CG, just because of the wild ways that those soft fluorescent lights would play with the walls and the ceiling and the carpet. But we really dug deep into learning, okay, how do all those pieces fit together? How does the corners of the shadows go warmer as it gets darker and dimmer? How's the light fall onto the carpet? When does it cast shadows? When doesn't it? How do we make sure it all reads consistently? So hopefully nobody would know where the set extensions might be. There's not many of them, but we certainly do have times where if an actor wasn't going to be walking down this space, or if it was if we had to connect two sets to two stages because we ran out of stage space, we would connect it with a piece of blue screen.
I think we haven't commented on it yet. It's slightly late, but I really, really enjoyed the soundscape for this section. It's a mix of a few things. There's a lot of, we get pretty collaborative on a lot of these tracks. Like I think like the first bit leading into this is stuff that I was mostly doing in Omnisphere. Like we would just go hook up to the system at your studio and we'd just jam. But that sound we were just hearing the
yeah, that was kind of a happy accident with Sam Davidson, the clarinet player, and browsing through files, and there were 2 snippets back to back as we were opening them in Finder, and they were like, one was wow and the other one was wow wow.
Yeah, we just
and then glued them together and
like
put
Valhalla
a
delay
Valhalla delay
yeah.
with kind of like infinite feedback and just let it decay.
Yeah.
And it was a very collaborative process, and also like this entire score piece was layer upon layer. Like we'd kind of make something, and then you'd come in and plug your computer directly into the preamp and just kind of cycle through. And I think there's a lot of really I don't know, there's just like a really healthy level of spontaneity and immersion and connecting with his character as he's walking through here, and then like the whole time manufacturing this soundscape of dread with Yuji's help. And I feel like it took us a little while, but once we chipped away and sort of removed layers, we'd get to these sweet spots. So
yeah, I think it took us a little while because we didn't have time. so we like. I think to actually have a moment to really sit down and do it, we actually did it pretty fast. We did a pretty fast, pretty focused job on this. I'd say we have a lot of stuff that is not heard, like a lot of versions.
Yeah,
a lot of drafts of these tracks.
Yeah, and I will say, I feel like, you know, I'd chip away at a scene for days, and then you'd come in and something wasn't quite clicking, and then you would add one kind of reactor patch or something from Absinthe that would just, I feel like you have a very specific vision for the score, and I was trying to interpret that and then apply my own intuition for things. But I love when we have these moments where you've added a couple sounds on top of maybe the sort of like throbbing sort of bass pulses that are going on and propelling us through the scene, and then it just feels like everything clicks. And it was fun to work in this way.
I agree. The ever elusive handle this door that you don't get to see the other side of. You can infer things. At some point, I think people will have an understanding of the layout of this area. By some point, I mean some point in the next 30 years.
Something I remember you telling me that you were kind of craving was the floor to sound hollow.
Yeah, very much so.
Which I found very interesting. Kind of gives it like a basement vibe or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's something that I've had the same thought process, and I would engage with even way back when doing the first Backrooms short, when I would literally just take a little like $15 mic and I would just like be creaking the floor of my house, just like, particularly like I was thinking like when I go through the tunnel in the first short, which is just like this. Just something about having the environment be so vulnerable in that way and not be like a cold concrete prison. I think for me, it's a much warmer tone that I find offers a bit more to think about and is a bit more of a subversion in some ways. Not to say that there aren't plenty of areas that are also, more solid, yeah.
This is an example of talking about the scale of the sets and the sound stages. One direction towards Clark, I believe, is on stage 3, and the other direction down the hall is on stage 1. So there's a lot of moments where we are seamlessly jumping through or transitioning through stages. And that's not even with VFX here. It's just the design and building this, Danny building out this vast space with our available stage real estate.
Yeah. This one was actually underground, and the only way you could get through it was by crawling through this tunnel, so it would take us hours to get all the crew and all their equipment through. So we'd have a pulley system. That's a joke. That's very much a joke. I feel it's probably obvious, but I love. You'll hear it in a sec. Yeah, that I can't emulate it, but like it feels like a kind of inverse high pressure kind of.
The gong.
Is it a gong?
It's a real gong. It's a reversed. It's a gong recording that's been kind of hand sampled. So we're just chopping and reversing it and playing it back to back with itself.
I love how these objects turned out.
Yeah, they're great.
We were very scared about trying to like we didn't want to dislodge the objects from the floor, but we found that like the sandals and the shoes got so stuck to the ground that we actually like pretty deeply struggled to remove them, if I recall correctly. I had to like tear up a bunch of the carpet and stuff.
That ramp was so surreal to look at in person.
It's pretty great.
Was that something that you had kind of designed in paper, okay? Like,
Yeah, that was in Blender. That's another element in Blender. There's fly-throughs and stuff I did of like I obviously can't do it now, but I'm sure somewhere in the behind-the-scenes process will show like what the original file looked like and how close it is to the set. There's some little things with like layout being a little funny with like because of a few set convenience things. We unfortunately missed the mark by a few feet in a few places where like a room like this becomes slightly impossible, and I encourage my audience to please not hurt me. They've already noticed and they're gonna be curious about that, but I think
Yeah, I remember there's one that we caught in the edit, and then because it was next to a set extension, we extended it out another 8 feet to line up with Clark's map.
we were able to get away with that.
Yeah.
But there's some stuff with like the hallway right before the bend with the caveman that doesn't quite allow enough room depth-wise for the space fully. I think.
That's the one we extended. Because we didn't nail it on set, but we extended it in VFX.
Yeah,
I believe,
no,
the bend.
I know. There's still a little bit of a discrepancy, I believe. But again, very special relationship with media.
I love this one instrument. It
Yeah.
really feels like the room is listing, and you have this kind of vertigo vibe.
This is one of my favorites.
I love the pot sign.
It's pretty cool. I feel like we had like, I don't even know how many we actually physically had, but there were a lot just sitting around in like surplus of those stop signs.
So we're talking about crew members getting lost on set, like some internet posts I've seen. I was one of those crew members. I came back one day and some of the walls had been rearranged, and the door plugs that we had, for safety, different ones were opened or closed. I'm like, I don't know where I am. I don't know how to get out of here. Why are these walls here now? They weren't here yesterday. Because we wanted to set it up for 360-degree photography, but we had to have escapes for safety.
I feel bad for people on the last day, which we can talk about. I guess there was an exploration with the opening scene of the film, which is obviously found footage here, but the exploration we had originally was like what we shot for a non-found footage sort of unfolding of events that we ultimately stepped away from. In that, we wanted to preserve the experience of seeing the Backrooms for the first time, like in this new way, for when Clark sees it, and there's just numerous other things I think we could have dialed in more in the approach that we took in the final version. But on that opening was the last thing we filmed, and so that last day we like gutted all the other sets and brought a ton of flats over to like the main stage, and just totally reconfigured the whole place, and it like turned into 3 different rooms within a single day. And like if there was ever a time to get lost, I think that was probably it. And this is a familiar melody for I think quite a few people, and I don't know if I'm going to comment on that, because I think those who know will maybe be able to draw some lines, and it's not the first time that I've let there be. I largely like to think of music as being something that is. I'm very motif driven, and I'm very bound to the language of a project. However, I like to think that all of the projects that I make, for all the ones I've made thus far, exist within a sort of bound continuity, and they're kind of within the same bucket where sonically I don't want to say they can be referential, but I think they can be in conversation with one another where they're kind of pulling from the same palette and talking about the same things.
Sorry, I'm late. Traffic was hell and I couldn't leave early.
Let's just use the time we have.
Clark's having a real bad day here.
How are you today, Clark?
He's having a great day.
How do I look?
Look, he looks great. He looks...
A little tired, maybe?
I look like shit.
don't say that, Clark. Come on, man. Yeah, they're working with them has been pretty fun. They obviously, I mean, it goes without saying, but they both made my job very easy with everything we're doing. I mean, as did all the cast in this project. But no, they both had a very, very thorough, like, intuitive grasp on you know, what we're going for, broad strokes with the film at large, you know, thematically and you know, and the core emotional, cultural relevance of what the Backrooms is at all. And then, you know, I think when there were questions, I did my best to have answers ready for them, and when there's things that needed, like, motivating fuel factors behind a given scene, I would again do my best to provide that. But generally, it felt very much just like a conversation. It's a lot of, you know, Chiwetel especially goes in and out of being in character quite quickly and quite seamlessly. So you can be fully in it, and then millisecond the camera ends, he just go into conversational, like, brainstorming mode for the next shot and whatnot. So
Did the characters evolve much from the page to when you met the actors and you saw what they brought to it?
oh yeah, I mean the script has been, I like to think of it as fluid. I think a lot of things undoubtedly changed throughout the whole process, and including in post. All things that, you know, pointed to sort of where the original North Star of the project was, even beyond what the original script was. But I think that, you know, a good bit of it was figured out. I think a lot of it was figured out in prep. Not a huge amount was changed while we were working on it character-wise. There's, like, artistic direction stuff that changed when we were actually shooting, but I would say, like, character-wise, it obviously refined it and clarified and whatnot, but I would say there weren't any, like, big swings outside of prep and then some stuff in the edit.
There's footsteps and stuff gets moved around when I'm not looking. I know how this sounds, but you gotta understand it.
Did they have knowledge of the lore before they came into the project?
I find it interesting. That's one thing that you're going to get me going on a ramble because you used the L word. You said lore.
Or let's just say a background knowledge of
No,
the world.
I just say that because it's like, because people always bring it up as though lore is the only thing that you can have attached to something like the Backrooms, but what is the line in people's minds between lore and narrative? Like, what is and plot? Like, what? It feels like it all just gets condensed to the single catch-all phrase of lore. And I feel like lore would be stuff that directly interferes with what the Backrooms are and mean, like, logically, like, as a concept.
I see lore as
Whereas I think the story is, you know, just a story being told within that container, all happening in the present. So it's not necessarily like a deeply rooted... I know what they're getting at, though. You go ahead.
Yeah, I see lore as, like, internal self-consistency within the world. It doesn't... a story like this can expand and add to what's in your world of the YouTube series and doesn't contradict it. For me, lore is kind of what's the basic assumptions going into it as far as the history that we want to see expanded upon, and our story can play within that and expand it and build off of it, and maybe not contradict it, but to go back and clarify certain things and add to assumptions you may have.
Well, great. I like the word now. Amazing. It is useful. Yeah. Renata had a pretty thorough handle on it. She'd taken a look at everything. Chiwetel, we sort of developed it the more we spoke, but I think, again, like, I think it just came out of conversation largely.
Cat?
And, like, the pitch materials for the film.
Another favorite line is when Bobby calls him Captain Clark here. Captain Clark? These two are fun.
Okay, pay us for what?
Yeah, they're great. Research. You got that camera, right? You can borrow it again, right?
You can borrow it again.
When I don't have anything to say, I just start saying their lines. Is is what I'm gonna do. So we're in Handycam world now. That's actually not. We did a bit of an illusion there, where the mirror's at an angle, and so we're actually it was being held. The camera was being held by Jeremy, slightly out of frame, so it wasn't being caught in the mirror, and we faked the movement of Finn turning around.
I didn't believe it was going to work. I thought I was going to have to do a VFX camera replacement. Actually, we went down this path for quite a while of hiding our movie camera in like a case that looked like a period camera. But then Jeremy had this gag, and it worked beautifully. I was very happy to be surprised with that. So obviously we didn't shoot our found footage on a real VHS camera. We talked about it for about 15 seconds, and I said, please don't make us do visual effects on 480 interlaced footage. So we were able to do it on a higher resolution, and then put it through VHS to get this look. And Jeremy Cox, the director of photography, and the team lit it and stylized it in a way where it would fit the aesthetic. And then we're able to do those. I love the feel of like Bobby's hand dipping into the wall. So that wall there is VFX. He was just putting his hand through the space with a blue screen behind him on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
So like you were running the raw footage through like a VCR and then getting the output of the VCR.
We did all the visual effects on the footage, and then ran it through VCR onto tape, and then recorded it back onto digital that would then be put into the final version of the movie. And we did a lot of experimenting with different passes, different tracking for different kinds of distortion, different tape speed, EP versus SP, that gave different kind of color, different kind of stability. And then Kane would, in the edit, would mix through these different things, these different versions for what was most interesting to the story, to the moment.
Yeah.
So were you guys coloring before or after?
Both. We did a bit of a pre-grade. I'd say it's actually more before, honestly. We had some, like tracking, altering, like saturation and whatnot, and certain, recording output methods would yield more DSAT results and whatnot. So there's a balance to be found. But generally, I would say more of the color creative decisions were done before the VHS pass, as is almost always the case with what I do on YouTube. It's the same VCR that I use at home. It's the same process.
Mm-hmm.
And the goal was to make it feel visually the same. Because why not? Like, I think I think that's, always been the wish and the hope. And this is a splendid shot.
We spent a lot of time early trying to nail the Backrooms look in CG and in Blender, like really matching exactly to the original image, the original 4chan image. And so at one point, kind of early in after we filmed, but early in the look dev, my associate visual effects supervisor Calvin Romaine took that image, did a match move on it, and got as close as possible to a perfect match. And then we used that as our ground truth, because what we ultimately found was there was kind of two Backrooms looks that we got to. One was the original authentic image that we recreated, and then there was a very slightly different look for the on-set look. That,
Am I allowed to be annoying? Can I be annoying?
Yeah.
I would say there's actually like there's a few looks, and they actually, I think, stand out quite a bit. That's what you're speaking to. Has been like what Calvin did with that original image is amazing, and what we were able to derive from it gave us a lot of resources to kind of recreate what was present there. But a few weird things, if I can just ramble about it for a moment. I don't want to lose what's happening presently, but like. Obviously the original like Roner's furniture store like wallpaper was not even yellow in the first place, so it was largely derived from the white balance, and that factored into our decision to make like we made the on-set wallpaper yellow, obviously, so we were already getting away from a sense of reality because we didn't want to destroy the skin tones on camera and everything. And but that's already like, you know, inherently part of the mythology with the YouTube stuff is that the wallpaper is actually yellow. And there's the chevron. We were working with like the chevron one, and then the floral wallpaper. That's like the Quixel one that some people know.
I like how you said mythology instead of lore.
But really, we went with that, and like those two wallpapers. I feel like it kind of felt like it was either original image look, which was kind of its own faked version of it, where the yellow was more put onto the environment rather than the color grade, whereas the original image was more white balance rather than the environment being yellow or warm. It was that. It was, I would say, YouTube series Backrooms, which is like a little different than our sets, because like in my YouTube series it's still very yellow and it's got like the floral wallpaper, but it's the carpet's darker than the wall tone and whatnot, and the balance is just slightly different. And then the on-set look had you know, a much lighter carpet tone and like kind of more all-encompassing like yellow, like a kind of a softer yellow that kind of ate into the shadows in a way that felt a little more. I think it just made the whole world feel a little more like a yellow box in some ways, sort of like what we're looking at right now. But then with the pre-grade, when you're in the VCR, you know, when you're in the VHS world, the pre-grade allows you to kind of dance between a few different tonalities fairly quickly, constantly, and I think there's sort of an ambiguity that coats the whole thing around what the true color is and what the white balance is affecting. That kind of, I think, glues a lot of these areas together. So, and inherently, given the way this place builds itself, all of these places exist in harmony physically. And I talked over this whole scene. I'm so sorry.
Well, there's a very, very cool scene. This was probably the very first VFX sequence we started, and one of the last ones we finished. It's, I think, just over 11 minutes long in total. We were jumping between probably 4 different sound stages, maybe 15 different individual plates, like photography plates, that we're stitching together with VFX. So the top of this ramp and the bottom of this ramp are 2 different sound stages with kind of a CG tunnel between it. So it was prevised with block animated figures very, very early on. Then the stunt people worked with that to figure out all these stunt beats, to figure out how to do that nice and safely. And then we started stitching all these pieces together in very early in post-production. And as the sequence continues forward, you'll see where we actually hit that original Backrooms image that, I mean, people online obviously noted that immediately. But that was a really nice ground truth for us in locking in that look.
This was actually unscripted. They ad-libbed this. This just happened. That was all.
Go falling down and
yeah, this whole thing. Yeah. This is a blooper.
Oh yeah, but we decided to keep it in the movie.
Yeah.
Like cat falling down.
No, we're joking.
No, I'm joking. I'm just like him being dragged through.
Yeah.
And then we're about to transition into. Now we're inside the ceiling. This is the same, you know, stuff is taken from the series, same assets.
So for these sequences, Kane, you would start by doing a pass in Blender, quite detailed, laying it all out, and then pass it on to VFX. And then there'd be a lot of back and forth as we refined it, up-resed and leveled up. I mean, being a very busy movie director, you wouldn't have necessarily the time to do the level of detail you might on YouTube, so that's where the VFX team came in to support.
Look at this. This is awesome.
Oh, I love this space. So we're trying to learn and make sure we can nail the look and the feel and the aesthetic, and hit the cinematic quality. And that was a new process for many on the VFX team, having a director that was so involved, so integrated into that process. So it was, because of our schedule, it's amazing that we could have such clarity of creative direction, like literally a 3D file with layout and animation to start from.
Yeah.
This room here is one of my favorite ones.
The waiting room?
Yeah, kind of with the toys and stuff.
No, here it is. Yeah.
We first did it at the exact same field of view, same lens as the original image, but we found in the cadence of the sequence it was a little bit tight, so we loosened the lens.
It feels. I think it feels the same for people, but yeah, we did technically. I specifically went in there and I broke the focal length.
Mm-hmm.
So
Love the Christmas tree.
yeah, love this area.
Those creepy bodies. So, in the lore, what are these bodies coming out of the floor?
I cannot answer. Unfortunately. I think people can infer, but I'd rather not speak to it directly.
You were about to hear the sweet sounds of my 7-month-old baby at the time. That's my baby Nico.
Is that Nico pitched way down?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I didn't know that. That's so creepy.
Recorded him crying while he was waiting for milk. Felt like a monster.
We live in a Christmas world. And some people lose their minds and yell pool room at this. I feel like it's a little more nebulous than that. It's hard to pin it down, and obviously that comes from a different interpretation of the Backrooms. But this sort of environment in conversational with, liminal space discourse very much speaks
Community.
to me. So I like to work it in. And this is real. We're back on set now. This is one of my favorite sets.
It's a room with a pool in it. It's a pool room.
Oh, really? I thought this was VFX.
No, this is all practical now. We've been going in and out of VFX. Now we're back in practical because when he puts the camera down, he walks into the frame.
Hmm.
Yeah, this one was kind of loosely based. What is it? The sanatorium. Oh, it was in Ukraine? Yeah, I think it was in Ukraine.
It definitely has an Eastern Euro vibe.
Yeah, it was a hotel, and we were sort of pulling from, there's a famous liminal space image with these 3 blue columns emitting, sort of a waterfall into a very apparently greenish pool. And so we sort of took a version of that and built this room around it.
Yeah, so that whole sequence ostensibly well over 10 minutes long, built as one continuous sequence. First shot we started on, one of the last ones we delivered.
I love the soundscape in this section.
Yeah, I remember us trying to see what we could do to make it a little bit more dreamy or kind of like not completely realistic. And it was a bit of a drastic measure, but we just grabbed the entire sound, and pitched it down like two semitones, I think, which obviously pitches down the mom's voice. But I find it gives it a little bit of a...
I love it.
Of an interesting tone.
I love the static. Yeah. And the way the newspaper almost responds to the touch. Like it travels through the frame and into the...
Mary!
That sound hit always
I like-
freaks out the audience every time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I try not to be one for jump scares, and I don't ever want to overemphasize jump scares, but I feel like, surprise is something to harness, and I think in this case it feels like a tasteful way to do it.
Yeah,
Some may disagree, but...
emotionally it links you to Mary's surprise.
Yeah, I think it's rooted pretty nicely.
So a little sound effect scare moment like that, would that have come from Greg Ing, the editor, or was that you, Huge?
It was originally like an actual stinger. But I thought it would be more interesting if it was actually diegetic, kind of like just the sound of the floor.
And then here's the house. No, because I mean, very much like that house is a family member and being executed.
Yeah. We did not destroy a real house. We were not allowed. So
But like, you know what's annoying about that? Not annoying, but fun, I suppose, is like literally the next day they were demolishing that house, Mary's childhood home, for real. So
yeah, the house at the beginning of the film, they're demolishing that soon, but we weren't able to demolish it on film. So the big hole, the big chunk taken out of it in the wide shot at the beginning of the film was VFX, and then the excavator smash in that sequence that we just saw was simulated and CG from the amazing folks at Stormborn. So Goran
really
Pavlos.
great work. Really great work. And again, the suburban soundscape outside the house is something that I really appreciate, the attention to detail that went into that. Huge.
Mm-hmm. It's always nice to add a little bit to the world building.
I opened the window.
I wish we got more of a chance to see her binder, but I love there's a lot of little props that don't ever really get seen, and like documents that have been written out that.
Like the old Mac in the back.
Yeah, well, like there's just stuff that's not even, maybe didn't even make it in, but it just had some really cool art direction. Obviously, this stuff is actually shot in San Jose. Jeremy Cox went down and got a whole bunch of footage for us, and also sky replacements have.
Yeah, so sky replaced on a handful of shots. So one of the references you can talk about down the street from where you grew up. The Microsoft.
What, the Microsoft wallpaper, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's not quite. It's yeah. I mean, I'm from Petaluma, which is in Sonoma County, so quite nearby. I sort of grew up right by the the Windows XP Bliss wallpaper location, which is just like a vineyard now. It looks nothing like it, but that is very much a during the green months. It's what most of the treeless hills look like, and it's it's a look that I'm very, very attached to, and this takes place in San Jose, which is a little ways away.
So bring in the sky replacements, bring in strong blues and a lot of shape to the clouds.
Yeah, I mean, it takes place in summer, so just trying to. I think if we were down south a tiny bit more, you could get some bigger clouds. That's like Breaking Bad, Pluribus. Just when you go down south, you get some pretty. Oh my God, it's him! It's him! Oh my God!
It's Mark and Clark.
It's the pirate. We had to sort of thread it so it'd be consistent with the Thing marketing. The final marketing version of that commercial.
We did a pass of putting that video into the TV. You don't always get the chance to play back what you want on set because of filming schedules. So often TVs and films will be burn-ins afterwards. So we did the pass of this, and then the marketing department did their great version of it with more graphics. So we grabbed that and put that in the movie. It was a lot of fun.
Very much so. There's I like a lot of moments in this film for purely selfish, like just it scratches an itch reasons. Like this bit of Mary just stepping through the upstairs of the store, is probably my favorite tones conveyed in the film. Like just little prepackaged feeling that I get is just really something I'd like to return to again in the near future and try to go even harder with. And then obviously this track, for people who know it, is a really great cover of the track that people will probably recognize from it plays in The Oldest View when Wyatt first goes down into the mall, and it's sort of, in my mind, maybe I overemphasize the importance of it, but in my mind it's kind of like The Oldest View, the main Valley View sort of theme song, I suppose. I made a stock music, but we did a cover of it to help massage the era ambiguity of the track, and just making sure that it's not literally that exact sound file that would not have existed in the 90s. I mean, I think you can logically say the composition didn't exist at all before then, but I think it helps. I think it helps let the idea settle.
Should we talk about the wind chimes? Is that something?
We can. We can talk in what sense?
I feel like it's something that it was there from the beginning. You had it, designed into the story, but it's something that I definitely kind of like took and used it as a motif for Mary when she is thinking about escape.
Yeah, I mean, it's here. It's also used specifically outside of this in the rest of the series, the motif of wind chimes, and again, I'd rather not actually describe what it means, just because I don't like giving up the game. But yes, there's a consistent logic to how it's used, and I would say the way you described it is certainly a true statement about it. But it's become a really nice sonic event that'll sort of consume us at a few points in the film, and I think bring us back to a certain place in Mary's mind.
Speaking of sonic events, is this a good time for the seagull story?
It's a good time. We're almost there. We're almost at the moment where it strikes. But you want to... Actually, maybe there's a few cool things. We should maybe talk about the wall pass-through. When she steps through in a moment, obviously, we had 2 openings in the wall, not just the one that she's standing in front of. There's one off to her left, or currently it's screen left right now. A little ways down there is another plug that we had the camera move through to get this next shot when she passes through. And do you want to talk a little bit about how we stitched that and neatened it up, and how we tried like 30 takes?
Well, we did so many takes because it wasn't as simple as having her just walk through. The wall was built, was it 4, maybe 5 inches thick, but we wanted it to be like less than an inch thick. So we took the plates and we slid and stitched them together, or closer, and we knew that she was going to have to like jump through that space. So we would do one side of her walkthrough as one take, then another side of the walkthrough as a separate take, and offset her cadence very slightly, and then we'd be stitching and testing on set as we're filming to make sure it would line up. So it was a tricky little one, but I'm really proud of how it turned out. And then, just like any other shots, we added back in the walls that she passed through, and then extended the foreground walls a little bit so the camera clips through it just through a frame.
I mean, that would be a good time for the seagull, I think.
Yeah, here there's this kind of room that you see here on the right of the hallway. When she goes in there, it's kind of like a reveal, and we had a cast and crew screening here in Vancouver, and we had just finished the DCP, like down to the wire, and I remember just sitting in my chair in the theater thinking like, okay, everything is going fine. All the real breaks work, everything is fine. And right here on this shot, you just hear like a...
Because we got a bunch of seagulls in the film. Like, that's obviously a very deliberate thing. We have a lot of sounds for that could be somewhere in the timeline.
It would make complete sense for a seagull to be heard here. And
well, not logically.
Not logically, but like you
compared to a movie that has no seagulls?
In my mind, it's like you could have think that I put that on purpose. Like I said, wrongly, but
yeah, and I heard it. I think everyone heard it.
And my heart skipped a beat, and I literally melted, and I thought I was gonna get crucified. But I guess what ended up happening is that a real seagull got inside of the theater, or was it like?
It was like something in the projector room. It was like open air.
Yeah.
Somehow something got in like through the window.
Yeah.
Somehow.
or yeah, maybe in the rooftop. I don't know, but it was
Very
just
clear as day, heard a seagull in the back of the theater as though it was in the theater with us.
the perfect timing.
It was remarkably strange, and
I remember being afraid of looking at the file in the morning, just shaking, being like, "Did I really do that?"
Yeah. Then I remember Stephen Grobe, the AE, was also scrubbing through all the reels and files, trying to see if just to make sure it wasn't actually.
when we
in
stepped
there.
out of the screenings, like, you guys were all huddled in a group, like, feverishly discussing whether or not the seagull was real. And I was having a good time. I forgot about the seagull. I was like, hey, how are you guys doing? And you guys just looked like someone had died.
Hey-o.
I thought for sure it was a sample instrument, because we have
We
not
love
only
it.
sound design of
Yeah.
the seagull, but like we
It's
have
perfectly
instruments,
synced with the
many
music.
instruments that sound like a seagull, another one that sounds like a peacock.
That mural was fun to do. It's obviously very evocative of Doug Ratman stuff, mostly in Portal 2, a little bit in Portal 1 as well. People who know, have followed my stuff, I think, know how obsessed with Portal I am. But yeah, thank you, Doug I should have given Doug Ratman a special thanks.
Why are you hiding?
You're being too loud.
Again, here's a return of that pinch point architecture. It sort of funnels us at a few points in the film.
It's
For a boxy room film, it's very
best it ever was.
reliant on triangular shapes. I'll say that. And there's that fly, which was actually a paid cast member. We had a fly wrangler, and what was that fly's name again?
Harold.
It was Harold the Fly.
Some of the flies in the film are VFX, some of them are real, and I'm not going to tell you which. Except that one was Harold.
Yeah, we're taking fly jobs.
You know me.
The light flickering was fun.
I'm just watching the movie now. It's tense.
Um, I think we looked for a few different ways to transition through this. Obviously, we have this visual effect taking place, which I think it works. I wouldn't mind have taken like if I could go back in time, like find another way to transition us through this. I like getting into the light. I like that a lot, being able to hyperfixate on that as an object and let it lead us into blinding white, which then brings us into here. And of course, I won't call it fan service, as I am more a fan of I have enjoyed the caretaker stuff before it was ever associated with the Backrooms, and I don't think that's a special statement, and I'm not like saying it from a gatekeepy perspective, because it was certainly very much talked about even back when I was first introduced to it, I think in 2020. I think it was probably like around July or August 2020. Everywhere at the end of the time it's not burning memory, which I think if I did that I might have a hard time living with myself for how much of a fan service
The
moment that
level
might
of fan
be.
service. Yeah.
We should have a cut of the film, which is all just the fan service tracks that people ask for on Instagram and whatnot, that obviously would not fit the film at all. This is one of my favorite sequences in the film. The very first version of this, which became the teaser trailer, the first one that went out, was something that I, kind of just was working on when we were like redesigning some of like Mary's Dream flashback stuff. And I made a version of like a CG childhood home, or like a room she was spending a lot of time in, and that turned into this idea of descending and consolidating the space, and something that's like kind of representative of obviously the emotional and thematic arc we're in at that point in the film, while also serving as a somewhat of a succinct visual representation of what the Backrooms does, without outright confirming it's one or the other, without saying it's like we're literally going down an elevator or anything like that. But I like we did that version, and then when we got a proper set, like when we had the set for, because we did a little bit of additional photography when we got the set for the living room Mary as a child was spending time in, we obviously had to like change the environment, so we handed it off to Ed. Do you want to talk a little bit about the process of?
Yeah, I mean, so now we had to tie in this big descent into a real practical location, so we scanned the room, incredibly detailed photography and LiDAR and photogrammetry of all the objects, so we could continue that camera move under the floor, and then pass the scans off to Kane, so he could design how it was being reduced and simplified all the way down, and then the Stormborn team did that render. And I'll say the biggest challenge was nailing that carpet so it really looked perfect in when you get incredibly close to it, because that carpet is CG when you get close.
It is dense.
A dense carpet. So I mean, it was a carpet movie. We solved carpet in many different ways and many different scenes.
They did a great job. It looks great.
I've always wanted to know what's in that picture back there in the wall.
In the what?
That picture in the back.
That's Clark and Barbara. That's his photo from.
From
the store.
earlier, yeah.
Yeah.
The practical effects team, Werner Pretorius and Amazing Apes, did an incredible job. So the fellow with all the eyes, that was all practical, and then in VFX we enhanced the eyes a little bit, so they would so they all kind of would have the same look and same direction in case he was looking around. And then we helped the other eyes blink. But we had a VFX team that was going to do the eyes, got the plates, and said, "Have you already done VFX on these? His face looks incredible." But that was all like everything except just a little bit of the enhancement on the eyes was all practical. Really beautiful work.
I'm pretty sure that's how you get all of this. You know, all these
Oh, guys, my alarm's going off.
buildings.
Shoot, I have to get back to the inland shrimp farm that I just like started up with my dad.
That's important. You should do that.
Yeah, I don't know, like something's going on. Like
Something's going on. The shrimp.
The
They're saying,
shrimps are escaping?
That the bubbler is backed up or
The
something.
bubbler's back, dude.
Yeah,
That's
and
not a fucking joke. Go.
the pH is just down. I got to roll.
Yeah, no. That's serious.
Yeah.
That's serious. I've been in such situations before.
Sorry guys. It's been a
shrimp.
real slice talking.
It's been a
through this with
slice.
you guys.
It's been a slice, man.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Catch you later.
Go save those shrimp.
I'm really sorry.
Exist. like furniture. Look at this.
Oh, so yeah, look at this. Best part?
You can eat them. You can eat them.
That's a favorite of mine.
I've got to be in a shirt somewhere.
So that was a real prosthetic that he dug into, and then we patched up some seams and added a bit of CG slime, but yeah, it looked so cool.
There was a period where Edo just left, so I can talk about this now. There's a period where we were looking at, just throughout some of the horror stuff, it's like a bunch of fucking Mongolian throat singing and stuff. Very weird, sort of chanting sounds, and it wasn't very fitting. That was initiated by me. That was my strange thing I wanted to pursue, but I think you can hear the faintest bit of it when he's digging into the stomach.
I tried to help her, but she just...
Clark!
If I can add anything there, I would say the context for her sticking around. Maybe I don't want to clarify it fully, but I think if I can share anything that you don't get out of the film, which is not a thing I am keen on doing, I think there's a responsibility to, let the art speak for itself and tell its own story. But just because I don't know if this is a thread that'll get revisited and maybe it's worth thinking about is...
help you. Just tell me what you need.
I would say I would lean Clark's motivations with pertaining to Cat's head in the fridge are definitely not too malicious and are likely more the result of him experimenting and being hopeful that, you know, like from the stuff he's observed while spending time in here, that, you know, there's a good chance Kat will come back if she's just kept in a semi-intact
He believes in cryogenics.
state. Well, the Backrooms, he's observed things being brought back and being returned, and this place remembering things, and so there's a very real possibility, I think, that it could, you know, correct the physical damage that's been done, and not physically to the. I don't think he knows exactly how it would work, but I think there's a optimism behind that choice.
Yeah.
Lights, please.
He's got a little. We don't ever see it, but he's got a little lab back there. If you were to walk into the back area of his house, there would be a bit of a still life. The room where he asks the many questions of the organic tissue.
Still my house, after all.
And the furniture crabs. There's a little table that scurries around like a very fast crab. Sort of like a head crab.
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah, no, Clark, specifically Pirate Clark, hates it. And I like to think during this period of time they go on little adventures together. Like while Mary's away and we're away from Clark, there's this whole little whimsical sitcom going on between the two of them. Just going on little mysteries and whatnot, and just dealing with little antics in this place.
The cartoon spin-off.
I would love to do that. I would love to do a little animated spin-off where
Little
it's
Scooby-Doo type spin-off.
Yeah.
Hanna-Barbera.
and they're just interacting with the various inanimate constructs and sometimes animate constructs.
Oh, this moment's so gross. That actress spent many, many days
my God.
standing in that corner.
I mean, all of the still lifes spent so much time in the prosthetics, and we'd be going to the lunch line, and they'd still be wearing them, and because obviously they would be, but just like the whole day, even outside of there, it's just walking around with all that stuff on the face.
Drinking through a straw so she didn't wreck up the makeup. Thankless, but amazing work.
Yeah, deeply appreciated.
What do you think still life tastes like?
Broke the glass.
This particular, I would say, varies, and I can't speak outside of this. Like, I tried some of this still life. It was not.
Yeah.
If you've ever had like a California roll, like a crab roll or
Oh, yeah.
something, that's been left out in the sun for too long.
Imitation human.
Yeah, well, it's just like too warm and kind of mushy.
I need some sauce.
Yeah, with no sauce.
We need some sauce for this.
I
if
think
we're
the still
gonna
life would
enjoy
be a
it.
lot more enjoyable with,
Yeah.
with sauce.
Yeah. Is there sauce in the back rooms?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's what Clark was getting out of the fridge.
Define a few.
As many as I want.
What's the milk drink made out of?
Sauce.
Sauce.
I pay for it.
No, he probably found.
I pay for everything. I pay for you to go to school. I pay for your time off school. I pay for the roof over your head.
Prime.
You want kids, right?
He's drinking Prime.
Well, that takes money. So someone has to work around here. I said someone has to get off her fat ass and work.
Obviously, I'm beating around the bush, but great performance in this scene. This was a joy to sit in on. We were doing I don't actually remember what time of day it was. I think it's.
Fucking ass.
These were long days. We split it up into 3 days, I believe.
Yeah, 3 days.
3 days. The third one largely built for, the kill and the destruction and the chaos. That one was probably the most grueling day, I think, we had of the whole production, at least in my eyes it was. Just in terms of sheer setup time and going late into the night.
You hate your job? Blame the world. You get kicked out of the house? Blame your wife. You attack me and tie me up? Blame your brain. You are your fucking brain, you dipshit.
You say it is my fault.
Yes, but it's just the way you're wired, isn't it? Isn't it?
Did the shape of the set come from you? Was this Danny, or was this with Jeremy?
This was Jeremy and I. It was a thing I had in my mind. I forget how we arrived at the like recessed, and then it became like a triangular sort of pinch point in the background. I'm trying to remember if that was. I don't remember. It was either Jeremy or I or somewhere in the conversation, but I was showing Jeremy how to use Blender a little bit because that was sort of a new element for him. And one element that we didn't do it in a lot of places, but we did do it a few times. Like Blender was used in all of our previs. Like Jeremy and I, like we would pre-light stuff in Blender, and we would have go scout and then scan the location and try stuff out there. But here, this is an area where we were very much like. We spent a lot of time going back and forth trying like 50 different versions of this room, sort of building it around what the shots would look like and making sure we had like sort of very, very precise frames. And so it would, like cater the set to the angles. And
I love the very symmetrical framing behind him, and that pinch point behind her is offset is so uncomfortable. In a wonderful way, because she's symmetrical, it's offset, and just like the end of the descent shot, you have the hallway, that portal that's also a bit offset with the offset wall. It's uncomfortable to look at in the best possible way.
Also, I want to mention that this cue is probably the last one we put in there. It's something that you
this is the very
you made it during the mixing days.
Well, there's a bunch of stuff I sort of dumped in there at the last.
Yeah, and it's honestly one of my favorite ones. It has that kind of like.
Me too. I mean, it's a harmony between some of the notes that Edo had in there, but like those pads are, especially with the pitch bend, I think add a nice.
Yeah.
And then here we go.
Then here.
I love having her. It's sort of like the feeling of being in the woods and all the crickets go silent and. Clearly something that has expressed no fear, as Clark proclaims, is clearly scared of something. And there's something here that is not is poking a hole in Clark's understanding or proclaimed understanding of the space. And obviously he has a relationship with this figure who's now entering the room. And
I remember one of the first things you told me about what to do sonically for him was that you wanted him to sound like dry, almost as if he was made out of wood. And that was definitely one of the first things that me and the Foley team focused on, trying to not make it too rubbery, but there's tons of layers of wood and rocks.
Yeah, giving him a lot of weight as well.
It also took me like weeks to figure out that he has a tennis shoe in the back. Like he literally has a shoe in his back.
I love how you can feel the duality of Clark and Pirate Clark in that over the shoulder there.
And then you glimpse.
Just glimpses.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, but
delicious. And then for me, again, like still life scrambling in the back there is like fly trying to get through a window, just banging itself against the glass repeatedly.
So coming up here is one of my favorite VFX environments. We have the
likewise
the open. We called it the suburban alley. So this was
it's my favorite music moment as well.
So this was a real street. We filmed at night with overhead balloon lighting, so we could match the overhead fluorescent lighting. So Jeremy and Yanni and the team just pulled it off incredibly. Not one bit of lighting had to be changed on the environment on Mary, and then we put the environment around her in CG. Had we filmed during the day, we wouldn't have been able to control the lighting with either overhead diffusion or hard lighting. So very proud of this. So that's Calvin Romain at Roxel running that.
It's pretty great.
Poor Clark.
And then we get like some proper fast-paced exploration. We're finally seeing some new areas, some new biomes, and this is obviously leading more into like a beige home sort of look, and overlaps with stuff in the YouTube series quite a bit, as people who are familiar will see here. I love this area. This is maybe one of my second favorite sets. The fireplace, couch hallway.
Where did they find all these couches?
Oh, they were just there.
The set deck team showed up on set one day. It's full of couches. So we
That's-
wrote it.
that's-
So we wrote it into the script.
Exactly. That's kind of how it works. We're just beholden to the set deck team. We didn't have a script at all. They gave us a bunch of sets, and we.
One day, this very tall pirate showed up on set, so we thought, might as well put him in the movie.
Yeah. This hallway's fun. This is actually derived from my friend Enzo, who does like the Gary's mod maps for the Backrooms series, like the really, really faithful ones. Is great. He did the initial piece of concept art for Pirate Clark, and it involved him in that little tight hallway, and we were still changing set pieces at the time, so we sort of worked that around that piece of concept art to get that moment in there. Just the visual of him squeezing through is pretty striking to me.
They nailed that moment from the concept really nicely.
Yes, but also we're not even reacting to this room, which is
The Vertigo room.
pretty crazy.
So usually I like to say let's have as much practical as we possibly can, but this space was obviously
Well,
so much
this isn't
bigger than we
practical?
so
What?
much. Sorry to
What?
break it to you, but so much bigger than we could have possibly built. So we had this L shape. We built all the ceiling that was directly around her. We built the stairs that she climbed up, and then Roxel expanded the world. So the beautiful work.
Really great. And initially the walkway she was inching around on was a little too wide, so we were able to also encroach on that and shrink it to increase the feeling of anxiety. That's not even mentioning the amount of timing we had to do to get that door break right, because we had no resets on that.
Ole
So
Vizina, the special effects coordinator, with his door punching machine that was
that thing-
the pneumatic door punching
Thing was
machine that
horrific.
you could not get close to because it would hurt you.
Yeah,
if
it's
you
like a
did.
fist in it. It would go straight through your head if you got even. That thing was that thing scared me. It was unnecessarily aggressive looking. It was awesome.
I think we can talk a little bit more about the adventure to Pirate Clark, because he was in the script, and then we talked about a lot of different methods of how to approach it. Like, was it going to be a stunt person on stilts? And we had this. It was a prep meeting on a Thursday, and somebody brought up, well, what about the really tall actor from Alien Romulus? And then by Monday,
Robert's lovely.
we had booked him by Monday.
Robert's great. I really enjoyed working with him on this. Yeah, I can't even imagine what it would have been like if we had to do stilt work for.
Because they told me if it was stilts, we'd need wires. Every shot of him would have had safety wire removal.
The amount of time we would have lost
Yeah.
is just. Yeah.
So obviously the peg leg is CG. We had an amazing movement coach that he had worked with before on Alien, helping him with a cadence, so that would line up with the peg leg that Zoic did.
I really enjoyed the set piece. And I can't help but acknowledge every time I see this, it feels like we're suddenly in a third person. It's leaning more into like a video game aspect a little bit with the navigation around Mary's perspective, and then
Third person.
yeah, I love the timing on the 55 languages call out there right before she crashes in. We kept having a. This was pretty fun. We needed earplugs for this. The canisters were quite loud.
So I don't think we have talked about the vocal treatment for the pirate yet, right?
Well, we're about to hear a lot of it, so you want to say a few words?
Yeah, I think it was definitely probably the most challenging thing for me to figure out the sound for it. And originally you had done a lot of like your own creature work on your YouTube series, so it ended up being a lot of your voice pitched down with a combination of Chiwetel's lines, and I think just as a fluke we found a recording of a camel that we both liked,
You found. I'm still in astonishment about this. I don't know if it's the same pack as what we ended up using a whole bunch, but you were going through camel sounds, and they were like, I forget if they were pitched up or pitched down.
Pitch down, yeah.
Pitched down, and you were just going through them, and it was like late at night, and one of them was the fucking poison zombie sound from Half-Life 2, which I don't think I've heard the source of that before. I didn't know it was a camel. I don't know how known that is. I need to figure that out.
Yeah, the chances
But it
were
was
that.
but it was like specifically, you had it at like the exact pitch just because you were pitching everything down. So you
Yeah.
happened, I don't know if you would have found it, you wouldn't recognize it as easily at the normal
No.
pitch. So it's like, that was incredibly strange.
Total fluke.
I just gotta say, I love Pirate Clark's face at that
So
last
good.
moment. Just the sadness, the tragedy, the
And just-
sheer loneliness in his eyes.
And the wideness of the lens, just feeling
Yeah.
with the arm is
Yeah.
great.
Beautiful work
Through,
there.
and then, who the fuck is this? We tried a few versions of this. I will neither confirm nor deny. These are all my voice. Yes, in keeping with the YouTube tradition. It won't be that way forever, but
I remember at one point being like, you asking me to do a version of one of them, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess I can try it. And I tried my best, but we both looked at each other and we both knew that I could never be a voice actor.
So I got to talk about this space for a moment,
Yeah.
because this environment was based on, like, literally based on your Blender file that you made when you're how old?
16.
16. So we took it and up-resed it and built the environment around the actors off of that. We built some set and then extended it.
Yeah,
So
the physical threshold they pass through, like the first, most of what you can see on screen there when you're looking at her is physical. But then this is all an extension, and
That's real Backrooms legacy from actual assets from the YouTube.
still, like actually seeing the physical threshold for what was built, though, that was at proper scale. That was pretty fucking neat. That was pretty cool. Alright, and now we're finally digging into the roots of async a little bit more within the context of the film.
Great track as well.
Yeah, this is
Late
again
edition.
a very last minute sort of edition that we did in like the last couple days. We filmed this stuff in the basement of a TELUS office building in Burnaby. Yeah, I won't speak to the cavemen, but I think you can ascertain. I actually won't even spell it out at all.
I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. And then you can hear faintly they're listening to the Captain Clark commercial in the next room over. Because obviously there's great efforts being made to, jump on what Phil's found, but by extension all of KV31 is now obsessing over, and I would say they've got a pretty good shot at getting into Clark's store and just taking ownership of that space and doing what they can to ingest it.
Are they selling furniture now?
Yeah, that's what they do now. They gave up on that old complex thing, and
Make a bit of extra cash.
yeah, maybe the real backrooms where the furniture was sold along the way.
If that's okay. First thing, could you establish?
This is obviously, it was very fun to be able to sit within the world of. I mean, I'm very biased towards enjoying the async interior space, like the stuff in standard and in the non-backrooms world. So being able to give this room the nice async orange stripe paint job was fun. Mark is great. Mark has been such a joy to work with, incredibly collaborative and just fun, easygoing, and just funny. He's awesome.
You know what I got to say in this movie is I like the tie selections.
The
by
tie selection-
Micah Cade.
phenomenal.
His tie is great. Clark has some wonderful ties.
Clark has
in
great
the
ties.
And also,
opening of
we
the
didn't
film.
address like Pirate Clark's outfit is like being an upscaling of like and needing to just upscale objects at several points in the film, like the
Yeah.
throne and the shoes and.
She had to find
really good job.
an enormous pirate hat and build this enormous pirate like a pirate Halloween costume, but for a 7.5 foot tall fella.
Here, the man you were looking for.
Please. Sorry, what was your name?
Phil.
Please, Phil. Where am I?
I'm not. I make, sorry, our company, we make MRI machines. Or, I should say, we used to make MRI machines. Not anymore. That was before we found.
You've been there.
I will say those windows in the background, just for something to talk about, are not real.
Yes. I have.
In universe, they're real, but
The windows are real, but what's behind them is not.
oh, that's correct. That's correct. Sorry.
Every day I go in there.
More slightly surreal skies.
Try to find out even a little bit more.
But that let us control the lighting throughout this whole shoot day to have identical lighting. If that was a real window, because there were windows there, that sunlight would have been changing through the day.
No, it's just totally the wrong kind of window as well. Yeah,
Subtle and
it's-
visible visual effects.
Location casting for async, I'll say it's not a walk in the park.
But I don't understand it. I can't even describe it.
It's like describing a dog to someone who's never seen a dog. And then asking them to try it. And now you want me to describe it. And then he'll write it down, and then what?
Mary,
You let me go?
we all want the same thing here. We do. We just.
And obviously, I'm very deliberately not saying a whole lot right now, keeping it fairly quiet, as this is just something I don't wish to give much language to. However, I am very, very happy with the way that this allows us to, use what is taking place canonically in the async timeline here as a sort of archetypal element of this obsession and this, this exaggerated form of the curiosity trait, or whatever you want to summarize it as, per our relationship to it throughout this film. Is sort of letting async be a version of that, and let Phil be an embodiment of that, of async. But I also appreciate that it is a truthful slice, a very narrow one, a very limited perspective into where the story's been heading outside of this, and where it'll continue to head. We're kind of just bumping into this larger structure that we're only going to see a tiny bit of. But it's not the point. The point isn't to know all the facts about async. That wouldn't really give us much illumination, certainly not in this film. But in the future, feeling very optimistic. And then this sequence, I deeply enjoy. The shots of her office, particularly, are favorites of mine.
The backroomsification of our journey
Mm-hmm.
here.
Summary.
I would question, is it even... Yeah, I guess backroomsification is a fine word.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun in the design world to revisit these spaces in new perspectives, and great work with Barnstorm, Costa VFX, Mr. Wolf again, supporting on these, and Roxel, and Zoic in some final images too.
Crazy shot. I really like too how the cue that we used for that last segment is kind of like a iteration of Still Life.
Yeah.
Which kind of goes with the concept a little bit.
Yeah, it's from the same Sonic family. It's the same. You could think of it as sort of an extended version. It's going to be listed as a separate track in the soundtrack release. but that might be a personal.
Osgood Perkins,
favorite
Chris
of mine.
Ferguson.
Lots of amazing people here, and I could say the name of every one of them, but then we're just naming names.
I'll say the people that
Because
I know. Jesse
I
Sabbath.
know everyone.
Jesse Sabbath, production, physical production, made sure everything could actually happen on the day on set, solving every problem for us, so we could film a movie. All these amazing folks.
We also got to hear this amazing track on the
Yes.
last day when we were printing the movie. We were finally allowed to hear the secret track that was gonna play, and we were all pretty floored.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to be pulled a couple strings with like the Warp Records connection, and was talking with Boards of Canada a little bit prior to this, and we found a very compelling opportunity to make these two worlds, because I mean their album's coming out on the same day as this film, and it felt like there was a very mutually convenient and fun and exciting and very obvious, like the amount of people I've seen online who don't, because there's been no official recognition of this fact yet as of recording this, but the amount of people I've seen in both my community and people in response to Boards of Canada, because I put them on my Instagram story and stuff all the time, is like it's a lot of people who feel as though it would be pretty great if there was an overlap there, and they're acknowledging the overlap and how. So I'm quite excited. I've been excited about this. It's a great track.
Well, I could just sit here and call out all my favorite people that we got to work with on this movie. I could do that for the next 5 minutes.
I could
maybe
do
that's
that.
Maybe that's not what we're supposed to do here. But I love everybody.
I love
who worked
everyone.
on this film.
I love everyone too. I get scared that if I start doing it, they'll move too fast, and I won't be able to say every name, and then I'll be accidentally leaving.
Andrew
people out.
Levine told me to say his name.
Oh yeah,
because
he did. He paid us.
He
we
paid
get
us a lot of money.
$5 every
Yeah.
time we say his name. So thank you,
Andrew Levine.
So Andy is our post producer who. At the moment the footage leaves the set, his job is to make sure it eventually makes it into the movie theater, and then on this disc that you're watching right now.
So many extraordinarily competent and talented and just kind, good-spirited people.
Alan Dirksen, Trevor Johnston, and their teams who found so many couches I can't even imagine.
Oh, they crushed it. The entire art team, everyone who worked on art, it's phenomenal. Set dressing.
Leo Harem, who was behind the camera on every shot. Camera operator.
Our script supervisor.
Whoever I name, I'm gonna feel bad I don't name another 100 folks.
That's why
the problem.
that's what I get scared of.
That's the problem. This is why we shouldn't even start.
I can officially say I'm thanking every name that appears here, and these are subtitles for my words that I'm not saying. Because I mean, how it's truly tremendous amount of time and effort that has gone into this, and I am extraordinarily grateful to all of the above and following.
Beating heart is pumping blood throughout the complex embryo, which is rapidly developing into a mature organism.
I'm just listening to the music now. Truthfully,
I'm just vibing. How do you have your name twice in a row?
Who?
How do you have your name twice in a row? Who did you pay off?
Yeah, just for good measure.
Amazing VFX teams.
Amazing VFX teams.
All the studios.
Round of applause for every single VFX artist here.
For all the amazing shots you saw and so many you didn't.
If anything, it's more about the stuff you don't see.
Yeah, it glues the world together. Ties it, makes it a seamless experience.
You
guys think Edo was able to save that shrimp farm?
No.
We can only hope.
Shrimp's dead, man.
You can only dude. Don't say that.
Just I'm a realist.
Don't say. Okay.
Shrimp is dinner. We're gonna eat well tonight.
We should launch a Backrooms sponsored crypto shrimp farm.
Can each shrimp be an NFT?
I like that idea. And they race in weekly shrimp crypto NFT races.
Mm-hmm.
The word becomes flesh. Just a track you guys just heard. And I'm not even going to mention what's going on sonically right now. And then a ton of special thanks. You got my family, you got my lovely girlfriend Emma, you got Ivan Beck, we got my film teacher, Philip Chidell, we got my managers, Will and Luke, Sam Esmel's there. Thank you very much, Sam Esmel, for the time you took in speaking about this film with us prior to, us locking, and we're a very valuable creative partner on this.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Amazing.
Thank you. Thanks for listening all
Thank
the way to
you.
the
I
end.
hope you enjoyed.
I hope you guys
this
enjoyed.
commentary track.
I enjoyed this.
Yeah. It was fun. Let's do it again.
I have a suspicion that might be possible.
Thank you, A24.
Thank you, A24.